Hello and welcome to another scrapbooking process video. We're doing another Project Life page here today. I'm Tracy, also known as MercyTiara, and I make scrapbooking process videos and more on my channel. Today, I'm actually coming in midway through this page because I had some trouble with some of the footage. It was corrupt and I couldn't use it. So I was able to salvage some of it. So we're popping in here towards the end of the first half of this spread. I'm going to add one of my little magnets to this. These are, I believe they are 5 millimeters by 2 millimeter thick magnets that I'm using. And I am still using my Tombow Mono Multi at this point. I do at some point fix my other adhesive, which is called Art Glitter Designer Adhesive. I use the Dries Clear kind, and I find that that works a little bit better. It tacks up faster, and it's not as sticky if some of it oozes out, it actually dries. The Tombow Mono Multi is a dual adhesive, which means that the parts that ooze out never do dry. They become temporary adhesive. As you can see, I'm just kind of muddling my way through this, so I'm putting these magnets in after the page is already designed. Usually I put them in towards the beginning. I think you're going to see me do that for one of the upcoming ones. So you'll get to see it when it's done properly, I hope. I am narrating these after the fact. I scrapbooked these several months ago in the summer, or I guess in the fall now. Couldn't have been the summer because these are October pages, but I would have filmed this back in October. I was up to date in my scrapping at that point, but I am not up to date in my process videos. So for this one, I've decided that background is so drab and boring that I'll just cut the photo right out, and then I can do some journaling around my head, which is something I love to do in these cases. Whenever I cut a photo out like that, I love to do journaling around the shape of the resulting photo. Now I'm using a card here, and I actually can't remember what it used to say, but it wasn't relevant. So I covered it up with this sticker that says "In This Season." And I'm going to outline this first with my regular pen, and that'll help me to just eyeball where I need to cut the photo so that it fits in the shape of that oval. And I'm actually pushing it up a little bit. See how you can see that there's some white left there? That's because I plan to go over it with a thicker marker that will fill up that white space and give me a bit more of a bold and also more of a hand-drawn kind of look to this page. Here's my journaling. It says, "Slightly changed up my haircut this time." And then I will glue that one, or I'll tape it, because they're 2 3x4 cards that will go into one 4x6 pocket. And on the other side of it, it says "This October Moment," and it's just a bunch of layers. It's a card from the Ali Edwards Stories by the Month kit from October, along with a piece of vellum from that same kit, and then the little embellishment, the black one that says "This October Moment." And that is going to be repeated throughout this spread, as you can see. Next, we're going to work on this flip card that will fit in the top right 4x6 pocket. I would like to have that diagonally black and white striped card that has an oval in the middle of it. I'd like to have that as the front of this flip, and I want to make the photo a different shape. Right now it's a 2x3 inch rectangular photo, but I'd like to trim it down into something that will complement the oval that's in the center of that card. So I don't have the exact same aspect ratio of ovals in either punch or die cut shape, but I think that this oval is going to do a pretty good job of making this photo be the shape that I want it to be. It's not perfect, but this spread and the Ali Edwards October 2025 kit has a lot of ovals in it, so I thought I would go with a repetition of that oval shape This photo probably in retrospect could have been printed up a little bit bigger and then also cut a little bit bigger. There's a lot of white space around this. It says savoring and celebrating. And I'm not sure if that particular card is from the Ali Edwards kit or if I grabbed that from the Savoring kit, because I do have the Savoring Story kit, which is a couple of years old at this point. I suspect it's from that, but I thought it went well. Again, I'm missing half of my footage here, and it was a long time ago, so I don't quite remember exactly, but these are some of the embellishments that came in the October Ali Edwards Stories by the Month kit, and I thought that these stars would do a pretty good job of warming up this card, which is otherwise it's very black and white looking, and it has a bit of a cool look because the walls in the dining room are that very cool shade of turquoise. And so this will warm it up a little bit and have it go better with the rest of the page. So I added those 3 stars so that they encircle the photo and will kind of bring your, doesn't really encircle the photo, but it uses a triangle as a design principle to, guide your eye around the card and take in the whole photo. That's what I was trying to say. Now, I am looking for something to put on the inside of this card and something that will be the mechanism of the flip. So I looked in my 6x8 cardstock stash. These are mostly Kelly Perky 6x8 cards that came in previous kits. And I kept them not knowing what I'd ever do with them. And it turns out I use them almost all the time for this purpose because it provides a really nice patterned paper, or the back sides of them are all lined. And sometimes I'll use the lined paper. But yeah, I want this photo that is basically a 4x6 photo of the people at the tables. And I'll put that on the inside. And then I'll put this oval card on the outside, on the top. It's just taking me a while here to get it all straight. There we go. That's better. And then I have this patterned paper on the top, and it's got lots of warms in it, greens and oranges and beiges and yellows. And so I thought it was very appropriate for Thanksgiving. I'm going to take an oval from the kit. Again, so many ovals in this kit. This one says, "Remember this." And I'm going to use that to hold my journaling. I added this black chipboard that says, "Here for all these magical October moments," and I added that to the photo. And now I almost forgot to add the magnet. So I'm putting the magnet in between those top 2 layers. And then I made the second magnet stick to the first magnet, put some adhesive on the exposed side of it, kissed the 2 together, and now this second magnet is attached in exactly the right place on the lower part of the card so that when it's closed, those 2 magnets snap together. Now I'm going to apply some journaling lines, and I just used some temporary adhesive to keep my oval in place while I use my journaling stencil to mark out some lines. And I only marked out every other line because I wanted them to be further apart. I have fewer to do here. Now that the lines are on this, I don't need the temporary adhesive anymore. The journaling says, "Movie club meeting at a new brewery, the Tap and Timber in Middle Sackville. The food and drinks were great." And then I am going to go back with my marker and underline the writing. And in many cases, that just covers up my journaling lines, and I don't always have to erase them, but there were a few showing, so I just erased those. And then I'm going to apply that just to the center of that top piece of pattern paper. Next, I am going to create a double flip with a floating flip. So this is a process that I might have to slow this down. It looks like I am printing up some extra photos by the look of it. Let me see. It has been a while, so bear with me while I figure out what this is all about. So the first page is going to be on a piece of acetate so that you can lift up the photo and see some journaling underneath of it and the photo, but you can still see the journaling that I'm going to put on this card. So I'm starting by cutting my acetate into probably an 8 by 3 inch strip. And then I'm trimming down my photos. So I wanted a smaller photo here because I wanted it to fit inside of the boundaries of that white part on the card. And now, it wasn't quite 3 by 8. It looks like it was probably 3 by 6. And then it was scored at the 4-inch mark. And now see how I'm going to be gluing it. I changed my mind for a second there, but I'm going to be gluing it to the bottom of this card. Now I am changing my mind here and deciding to make that card be the flip card. So that card is cut at 3 by 8. Looks like I just trimmed it down a little bit there. And then I applied the piece of acetate. And now I'm putting photos on the inside of the cardstock part of that card. But it is a double flip, right? So you can't see it very well because it is acetate and it's clear. Adding a little magnet in here, then I'll add the second magnet so that it sticks to the magnet that I just put in there. See, I'm putting it there. And now I'll take that off and add some adhesive here, carefully stick the two of them together. And now that magnet is in exactly the right place that it needs to be. So it will stick to the other magnet when it's closed. So there we go. We've got that. Now I want this photo to be kind of like towards the bottom of this. And it's going to have to cover the next magnet because there's going to have to be another magnet on the piece of acetate. You just want to make sure that all of your magnets are going the right way, facing the right way, so that they're not repelling each other. They need to be attracting each other, right? So now I'm going to place this photo so that from this perspective, it's centered on that card, although we know it's actually attached to the piece of acetate that folds over the card. So now I am measuring this to find the exact size of it. Can't remember what that was, but I used my ruler, cut a piece of grid paper to fit it exactly. This piece of grid paper is going to hold my journaling. My journaling says, we had no idea when she set out on her bus ride home for Thanksgiving that the day would hold so much anxiety, a bus crash, a fire, a run eviction. So yeah, it wasn't a great day. Everybody is safe though, which is all that really matters. So now I'm going to sandwich that be on the other side of the acetate. And now I basically have this 3-way flip. Now this piece here that I'm going to be doing with the yellowy kind of outside is not going to be part of a flippity flap. It's going to be the base. Yeah, so it's going to be like that. Now, I do need to cut 2 tabs to help make it clear that things need to be flipped here, especially the acetate, because once it's snapped down with the magnet, you're not going to be able to know that it even moves. So these tabs will help. I cut them out of one of the cards that I didn't think I'd use, and I used my Stampin' Up! Circle punch. And oftentimes I layer that punch with a circle tab punch, that is. Oftentimes I layer that with another circle, but I'm just going to use it as it is. And I'm stamping the phrase "Open Me" from a Lawn Fawn stamp set that I have. And I put "Open Me" on both sides of it because each of those need to they both have 2 sides to them. So I'm just putting "Open Me" on both sides. So you'll see it from all the different angles. Now, this little tab goes right here, layered over top of the photo, and also my journaling on the back. Just want to make sure that you don't overlap that journaling so that it's unreadable, but it's okay. I can read it still. So we have that. So this mechanism is really coming together. It looks pretty good. Now I do need to put that second tab there. And it looks like I'm looking for something else. What else am I trying to do here? Oh, yes. I want to do some journaling on the top of the bus. See how there's a lot of the top of that photo on the top I'm just showing which punch that is the ceiling of the bus. And this is a photo that Sophie took from the bus when it just had an accident. It crashed into the car in front of it. And everybody was okay, but pretty anxious. Sophie has been in multiple bus crashes. It seems almost unreal that I think this was her 5th bus crash that she's been in. And so she was very much feeling like, I never want to take a bus again, which is very reasonable for a person to be thinking. So this journaling is going to say, I'm just using a very old label here. It says, it's from October afternoon, actually. It says, Sophie and Sky's bus crashed into 2 cars ahead. All were okay, but shaken up. And I am going to underline that, even though it's already on a lined label. I just like how it looks. And I'm going to place that right over all of the, I guess, the yuckiness. It's just not a very nice part of the photo, and it doesn't add anything. It's just the roof of the bus. So that label covers it, and you can still see the picture shows like out the front window of the bus, the 2 cars in front of it and the people on the side and everything. Now, this is a photo of another situation after they got home, when they got off of that bus 2 hours later. This is what they got off the bus to. Across the parking lot, there was a little thing on fire in the parking lot. So I'm writing down here, I put my lines, and I'm just saying, then randomly, a shelter by the superstore was on fire when they got off the bus. Now I'm going to put something in the space of this card that's going to be underneath of the piece of acetate. And I pulled out my Bad Day stamp sets. I have a couple of Kelly Perky ones and a couple of another brand, Studio L2S, LS2, L2. I don't know the name of that company, but that's what I ended up going with. I've got one here that says seriously, and I'm going to stamp that right over the smoke that's coming off of the fire in the parking lot. So that one says seriously. And then on this one, wait a second, where did it go? I'm going to put the word bad day on this one. There it is. I'm going to put the phrase bad day. This is from a Kelly Perky stamp set. One of her kits came with this stamp set. I just have to figure out where it's going to lie so that it's aligned with the photo. Like I want it to kind of be spaced nicely with the photo that will be on the acetate piece. So that's where I want it to be. And I don't know exactly where I disappeared to, but I'll find myself here. Oh, there we go. I was looking for my Misty stamp positioner because it occurred to me that I'm going to want to get this in exactly the right spot. And so grabbing my stamp positioner from Misty, I'm going to place this right there, and that way I can pick it up and ink it and put it back down, and it will be in exactly the right place. And if I need to, I can re-ink it, which I am. And I'm using this thing. It just kind of helps with my wrists are sometimes weak. I've got a bit of arthritis, and that thing is a bit of an easier way to put pressure on your stamp. I'm going to clean that stamp with my stamp cleaner from Stampin' Up, and I will put my Misty positioner away. So finally, all of the elements of this flip are starting to come together. Now you can see what I had envisioned here. And I was thinking about putting another bad news stamp that would actually be covered up by the photo, and then you'd see it when you opened it up. But there's already something written there. It says deep breaths in this chapter, and I thought that was a pretty reasonable phrase, so I'm just going to leave that. And then I decided to color in Bad Day. I didn't want it to be absolutely like white, but I also didn't really want to add another color. So I just took a gray. I think it's a Tombow Mono, or no, not a Tombow Mono Multi. It's a Tombow dual brush tip marker. And I just shaded it in gray. And then this says, "Who knew it would be such a," and then Bad Day. So now I need to position the second tab, which I did, and oops, I ran out of staples. It's just grabbing a refill there. And sorry that happened out of frame. But I just want these two to be overlapped so that you know that there's two of them, but I don't want them to be exactly side by side. I want them overlapped a little bit. So we'll do that. I'm going to outline around them to give them a little bit of distinction from one another, especially where there's two of them layered like that. And now that will go in the pocket, and it's quite an element. I really love how it works. The magnets really help it stay together and not be too, I guess, distracting on the page. I'm adding this October moment to a couple of photos here. Sorry, I was too zoomed in as I did it, but one was the cat photo, and the other one was the photo of us at the brewery. And now here's a close-up of the drink that I ordered at the brewery. I ordered this fun, non-alcoholic, I think it was a cream soda or something. It was really yummy, probably a little bit too sweet, but it was a good for a little treat. I am adding even more lines here to another one of these ovals. And again, I'm doing it every other line. I'm underlining. I'm kind of tracing on that journaling stencil. Now my journaling here says movie club meeting. Oh, I think I already narrated this. What did the other? I think I read the wrong one at some point. Yeah, the other one said we hosted this Thanksgiving on Sunday. So much to be thankful for after a rough year for the Oldfords. This one is the one that said movie club meeting at the brewery, the Tap and Timber in Middle Sackville. The food and drinks were great. Yeah, sorry. I narrated the wrong journaling. It's been a long time since I've narrated, and I am a little bit tongue-tied and a little bit off my game. So my apologies for that. I do plan to get caught up on my narration and also keep caught up on my narration. So you should be seeing more process videos from me soon than what you have in the past. Skipping forward to where this one is in its page protectors, I just wanted to show you how this one works since it's a little bit more complicated than my typical flip pockets. I really love how it worked out. And also, because I have you here, let's also add a tab to this flip pocket that doesn't have one. I had this card on hand right here, and I thought that it was nice. I liked how dark it was. So I just used the same circle tab punch from Stampin' Up! And punched it in that darker shade. And I am going to, I guess it looks like I just wrote out open. Yeah, I hand wrote it. It looks stamped here, but I hand wrote it and stapled it onto the tab. And then I'm just going to place all these other ones in. So before we jump into the final photos, I want to give a quick shout out to my amazing Patreon supporters. These folks truly help make this channel happen, and I'm so grateful for each of them. Tiaras get early ad-free access to all of my process videos, plus real-time unedited versions, often in the form of live streams. They also get exclusive behind-the-scenes content from my craft room and my process, sneak peeks into what I'm up to, and so on and so forth. So a big thanks to you also for watching all the way to the end here. Here are some photos that I hope will also show some of the process, some of the outcome from the process that's missing here. So the photos from the left side of the page, which you didn't get to see come together in the process video, you'll at least get to see some of the items here, some of the cards and how they look in the overall spread. So once again, thanks so much for watching, and I hope you have a really great scrappy week.